Hi, this is 3 Tips in 3 Minutes, and today we're discussing the unique aspects of searching for foreign people's names. And in this context, by foreign, I just mean non-English names or especially non-Western names. Tip number 1. Does the person have any titles, pseudonyms, assumed names, or nicknames? For example, when researching Chinese history, Mao Zedong is also called Chairman Mao. For more details on these kinds of variant names, as well as the many possible permutations of women's names, I recommend that you watch our previous episode of 3 Tips in 3 Minutes entitled Searching for People's Names. Tip number 2. Consider variant name spellings. Names that originate in other alphabets can be very tricky. They are transliterated from one alphabet to another in an attempt to recreate the same basic sounds in that new alphabet. Now keep in mind, transliteration, what I mean by that word is that involves only converting a word into a different alphabet, but not actually translating its meaning into a different language. Now to begin with, there is some subjectivity in deciding exactly what phonetic sounds are used in a name and how those sounds are best represented in a particular alphabet. Furthermore, although there are some generally accepted standards for transliteration, these standards can change over time. Let's look at an example. Today, the most common standardized spelling of Chairman Mao's name is Mao Zedong with a Z-E-D-O-N-G spelling. However, at previous points in time, the spelling T-S-E-T-U-N-G was a more commonly used spelling to represent the name Zedong. You might also see other variant spellings such as C-E-T-U-N-G. These are all intended to represent the same basic sounds, but people were using different guidelines for how that Chinese sound was best represented in English. Now, some search tools like the library catalog might provide you with cross-references from a less common spelling to the more standard spelling. So if you look up the CE spelling, it would tell you to see the letter Z. But many other search systems will not provide you that assistance. So you need to have these variant spellings in mind when you start searching. Now, another example of name spelling, let's look at the name Dostoevsky, a Russian name. And here are some variant spellings that you might see. Now, some of these may have to do with different standards or philosophies about how that name is best transliterated into English. Other things may just have to do with poor spelling. It honestly may just be someone who doesn't know how the name is spelled, but all of these spellings may occur somewhere. Tip number 3, name inverting. When you're searching formal indexes like the author and subject fields in the library catalog, people's names are usually inverted. That is, entered backwards as last name, first name. However, foreign names are not always inverted in the same way as we're used to with English names. To add to the confusion, different search systems may use different methods. Standards for inverting names may change over time, or a human might simply make a mistake when entering an unfamiliar name from another culture. Consider Latin American author Gabriel Garcia Marquez. From an English perspective, we might expect his name to invert as Marquez Gabriel Garcia, but this is incorrect. Spanish and Latin American cultures often use 2 last names, in which case the correct inversion is actually Garcia Marquez Gabriel. Now consider the famous Italian artist and inventor Leonardo da Vinci. When people talk about him, they often refer to him as just Da Vinci, so your instinct might be to enter Da Vinci Leonardo, but this is incorrect. Name elements like da are usually placed at the end of the inversion rather than the beginning, so his name would be inverted as Vinci Leonardo da. Depending on who you search for, how well known they are, and what language or culture their name comes from, you may need to try several different inversions of their name to find the results you need. However, do keep in mind that this is not usually an issue when you're doing general keyword searches. Only when searching a formal index like the author or subject fields in the library catalog. Well, that's our 3 tips in 3 minutes for today, or rather 3 tips in about 5 minutes. For more tips on these topics, see the previous episode on searching for people's names and our next episode on searching for place names.